Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kiruja Micheni. I work with the International Maritime Organization as a project manager for the Djibouti Code of Conduct. This morning, we're going to talk about maritime security auditing. And in the menu, we'll look at Introduction to SOLAS Chapter 11.2 and the ISPS code. Then we go into Introduction to Auditing, look at the document review and the phases of an audit process. The International Ship and Port Security Code, commonly known as the ISPS code, forms the basis for a comprehensive mandatory security regime for international shipping and contains a comprehensive set of measures to enhance the security of ships and port facilities. It was developed in the wake of 9/11 attack as a response to the perceived threats to ships and port facilities. The instrument entered into force under SOLAS Chapter 11.2 on the 1st of January 2004. The code is divided into two sections, Part A and Part B. Mandatory Part A outlines detailed maritime and port security-related requirements which SOLAS, contracting government, port authorities, and shipping companies must adhere to in order to be compliant with the code. Part B of the code provides a series of recommendatory guidelines. Introduction to audit. Once a security plan has been developed and implemented, the only possible way an organization can verify the effectiveness of the plan and implementation is to carry out regular audits. It will be necessary, therefore, for the organization to develop an audit capability to manage its entire process. The audit function should be independent from and have no direct responsibility of the implementation of the system elements. So, what is an audit? Audit is a systematic, independent, and documented process for obtaining evidence and evaluating it objectively to determine the extent to which audit criteria are fulfilled. Audit evidence and criteria. Audit evidence is a record statement of facts or other information which are relevant to the audit criteria and verifiable. While audit criteria refers to a set of policy procedures or requirements used as a reference against which audit evidence is compared. Objective evidence. Objective evidence is information that shows or proves that something exists or is true. Objective evidence means quantitative or qualitative information, records or statements of fact, which is based on observation, measurement, analysis, or test, which can be verified. So, how do we collect objective evidence? This can be done through interviews, so testimonial, which is testimonial evidence, or observation of activities, that's really by collecting physical evidence, or review of documents, which is documentary evidence. There are three types of audits: first party, second party, or third party audits. First party audits are conducted by or on behalf of the organization itself for internal purposes. It forms the basis for an organization's self-declaration of conformity. Second party. Second party audits are conducted by parties having an interest in the organization, such as customers. Third party. Third party audits are conducted by external independent organizations that provide certification or registration of conformity with requirements such as those of ISM, ISPS, ISO 9001, ISO 14001, and OHSAS 18001. First-party audits are generally termed as internal audits, while second or third party audits are generally termed as external audits. Internal audit objectives. 1, to determine the implementation and effectiveness of one's own management system. To determine the conformance or non-conformance of management system elements as specified in contractual legislative requirements. To provide a basis for continuous improvement of the management system, or to meet regulatory and legislative requirements, and to achieve second or third party registration or certification. The external audit objectives are to verify that a client's management system meets or continues to meet specified requirements and is being effectively implemented. Internal or external, during the audit process, the auditor seeks evidence of 1, clearly defined responsibility and authority, documented procedures, instructions, and controls, knowledge and understanding of responsibilities, authority, procedures, instructions, etc., correct operation of procedures and processes by authorized and responsible personnel, adequacy of personnel, equipment, facilities, and general resources, and effectiveness of the system when correctly operated. Audit objectives. The audit objective forms the basis of an audit. Audit objectives are normally expressed in terms of what you are trying to achieve. Audit objectives should be realistic and achievable, and each audit would have one audit objective that provides a clear focus. They should be written as clearly and concisely as possible, and they must be defined in a way that will allow the audit team to reach conclusions about each objective. The examples of objectives include to determine whether port facility comply with the requirements of the ISPS code, or to determine if the access control during peak period and during night of the port facility is effective and meet the requirements of port facility security plan, or to determine that the conduct and effectiveness of security drills and exercises are in compliance with the ISPS code, or to determine the effectiveness of the port facility perimeter protection. Let's now look at the audit scope. This describes the extent and the boundaries of the audit in terms of elements of the management system or security plan, the areas of relevance to the audit objective, physical location of activities and documentation, organizational and functional units that will be examined, equipment, processes, and activities that will be included, and the time period that will be covered. Depths of audit. Let's look at first the systems audit. The systems audit is a superficial or shallow audit and generally conducted to get the feel of a quality environmental, health, and safety management system. Then the conformance audit. This adherence or conformance audit is a deep audit. It is conducted to confirm whether or not a procedure or job instruction is actually being implemented and is effective. It gets down to the nitty-gritty, so to speak. The audit schedule for both internal or external can be conducted as follows. A scheduled audit is a planned audit, usually drawn by the CSO or the PFSO, and the schedule should cover all activities and procedures concerned with the ISPS code, security plan, and national requirements. An unscheduled audit is performed upon request in response to either complaints from customer or maritime administration, a serious breach in security, an accident or casualty incident, results of the management review, a serious deficiency or major non-conformity management system. An unscheduled audit would also include investigative action to verify the cause of such an event. Let's now look at the phases of an audit process. This phase of the audit process is itself divided into 6 subsidiary activities as follows. The preparing an audit plan, establishing the audit team, assigning work to audit teams, initial contact with auditee, preparing work documents and checklist, and briefing the audit team members. Let's first look at the preparing the audit team. Audit team leader should prepare an audit plan. An audit plan is a description of the activities and arrangements for an audit. And the purpose of the audit plan is to provide detailed information to the audit team, auditee, and audit client. Also to provide details of what has been agreed on among the audit team and auditee, and to facilitate scheduling and coordination of the audit activities. You then establish the audit team. You assign work to audit teams, make initial contact with the auditee, and then you prepare the work documents and checklist. Let's look at preparing the work documents in more detail. The types of information that should be reviewed include site details such as maps and descriptions, security plan and procedures, industry best practice and relevant standards, previous audits and compliance history, evidence of past performance such as inspections and complaints, national, statutory, and other requirements, auditees' working language, social, and cultural characteristics. Using background information and knowledge of auditee's operation, the working documents should be prepared to guide and support the audit. Examples of working documents include audit checklist, audit questionnaire, audit sampling plans, forms for recording information such as supporting evidence, audit findings, and records of meetings, and template for the audit report. The audit checklist is a generic checklist containing list of audit criteria that need to be verified against audit evidence during the conduct of an audit. The use of such checklists and forms should not restrict the extent of audit activities, which can change as a result of information collected during the audit. Checklist with closed-end questions. Common mistakes is to ask questions directly from a closed guidance for voluntary self-assessment is provided under MSC Circular 1192, which will be shared with the participants. Lead auditor responsibility. The lead auditor's responsibility include assisting with selection of audit team members, to brief the audit team on the responsibility, to review documentation to determine adequacy, preparing audit plan and working documents, report critical non-conformities or difficulties, to determine categories of non-conformance, report on audit results and submit audit report, and to direct follow-up actions as and when required. Briefing of team members. The lead auditor should brief audit team on the following: document, identify, and collect evidence, to report the audit results, to evaluate effectiveness of corrective actions, safeguarding confidential documents, treat privileged information with discretion, to cooperate with and support the lead auditor, and to act in a professional and ethical manner. Phase 2 is the audit performance, which includes opening meeting, the conduct of the audit, evaluation of results, and closing meeting. Phase 3 is the audit reporting, which includes writing the audit report, while phase 4 is the audit follow-up and includes closing the audit findings. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had a look at an introduction to the ISPS code and introduction to the audit process. You've looked at the documentation and management review, the 4 phases of an audit process, and also using MSC Circular 1192, the voluntary self-assessment tool for port facility security. I hope that you enjoyed the session. Thank you very much.